Hello everyone, my name is Phawx. Once again we're taking a look at the GPD Win Max. This is GPD's latest gaming handheld. The game that we're going to be playing right now is Fallout 3. This is the Game of Year edition. I was asked to take a look at this game and initially put it at like the max settings. So just as you can see here, this is on ultra settings. So if I click ultra again, nothing will happen. I'll just click ultra there. You can just kind of see that everything in here is set to ultra max and everything to super duper and awesome. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start up Fallout 3 Game of the Year edition. One of the other things that was requested of me was that I make my way over to Rivet City to see how it is, because that area is typically the most busiest. As far as I've seen, most outdoor scenes will pretty much hit us the hardest. Indoor scenes kind of, we top out around like 18 watt area. Might hit 20 watt every now and again, depends on what's going on the indoors. What's nice is that this is actually a good kind of concept to try to understand what is necessary for the battery. So where am I right now? Oh, you know what? I'm already in Rivet City. Let me go ahead and load up outside of Rivet City. I think that's fine. So a few things that I'd like you to pay attention to while we're going through all this. So right now you can see that my power limit is set to 35 watt. The package power, this is how much power we're using currently on the chip, so we're at 26 watt. This is the temperature. Here's our frame rate. We see that we're at 46 frames, and our GPU is maxed out. Total system power is plus 17 because I'm plugged in right now. Go ahead and try to, just so that we can minimize my reflection here. My buff thing ended. So now this is right outside Rivet City. Kind of just looking around the city area. You can see that we're at 27 watts right now. Now one thing that is pretty interesting is, like, if we go into the Pip-Boy, you should see that our package power will like drive down. So now we're at 14 watt. What's nice about looking at the Pip-Boy is that everything that was kind of necessary to render is no longer necessary to render. So going into your inventory and kind of tooling around, either whenever you're doing your stat changes or if you're just trying to repair your items and stuff, you're actually using significantly less power, which is a nice thing to do. You know, like, so you're not like just looking at menus and just wasting power a whole bunch. And it kind of stipulates the idea that just because we are saying go ahead, use as much power as you want, just because we're using like 26 watt right now, every now and again, whenever we're doing anything in the game directly, either when we go indoors or outdoors, how much power we're going to need is dynamically provisioned. So as soon as I hit 60 frames, this machine will no longer request any more power to be used.
Can you help me? I need water.
We'll be able to head into indoors soon. I just want to kind of peek around outside. You can see that we hit like kind of mid 30s, even though, you know, it really doesn't dip anywhere under 30 ever. Typically I'm around 40s in like the most busiest sections. A lot of times I'm in 60s, to be honest.
State your business in Rivet. And who might your father be?
Everything looks okay here.
I got my lockpick skills up. Ka-ching. So here we are indoors, but there's still a bunch being drawn here, so we're still like in the 40s area. Using 27 watt. I'll go back out because no one really wants me in here. I'll go into tighter quarters. And now we're at 60 frames, and I don't know if we're gonna see. Yeah, you should see it. There we go. So you see we're down to 18 watts. This is what I was saying earlier on in the video. As soon as we hit 60 frames a second, we're gonna basically, the machine is just trying to hit 60 frames a second. As soon as it does that, however much power is required to do that is all it's going to take. And since we're at 18 watt right now, the total system power is going to be less, obviously, and our battery life will increase. And this will happen dynamically as you're kind of moving throughout a game. So every time that I'm talking about, how much power we're taking, emulation is a different beast, because typically emulation, regardless of what's happening, we're always going to have kind of similar, consistent amount of power draw. Dolphin being one thing that should be able to render, emulate most games at a lower wattage, which is nice. But then there's games that, are PlayStation 3, Switch, PlayStation 2. Those games are going to consistently require a good deal amount of power. Obviously, for PlayStation 2, you can do more hacks and stuff, and get away with using less power. But it's still going to be something that is more consistent. But if we look at native PC games or PC ports, we're going to start looking at dynamic power usage based on however much is being drawn at any given time. What's nice about the Fallout series, what is it, Gamebryo? The Gamebryo engine, is that it's pretty well... It does a decent enough job that basically if anything comes up in front of render, everything that's behind doesn't need to get rendered. So we can see that we already dropped power here. And this happened before in my Fallout 4 video. This is something that I've been talking about a long time, even in my Win 2 videos. If you take a look at my Fallout 4 video on Win 2, I also had mentioned this very things. Like whenever you go into lockpicking mode, pretty much your power usage is going to tank. Tank meaning good. We barely use any power whenever we're in lockpicking mode. Rendering power to do so is nothing. So this is just pretty much the heaviest scene. I've not played Fallout 3 all that much. Something else, my radiation stuff wore off. That's from the other side. But a person on the Discord said that Rivet City is pretty much the busiest area, and this is going to be taxing the system the most. And you can see that we're kind of like 40s, well, high 30s at the worst case scenario. And again, we are running in ultra settings, so this is, the best settings that can be made directly on the game itself, outside of any mods or anything. So it's kind of one of those things where, there's going to be a lot of DirectX 9 games that are going to be quite enjoyable on the Win Max. You should be able to hit max settings on those older games fairly frequently. I hesitate to say that there's going to be any particular game that, like a DX9 game, 2009, 2010, and before, that is really going to cause us any problems running on the Win Max.
I'm on duty. Make it quick.
Is that quick enough for you? The draw distance is pretty good. Right now went down to like the upper 30s. But still super playable. Now another thing that's worth mentioning here, and that I should really do in the battery video that I will eventually do, should be able to come this week, is that if we were to cap frame rate at 30 frames a second using something like an external tool, which I'll show you in the battery video, that is another method of extending battery life. So there's been a lot of people that have always suggested, if you look at any of my comments and stuff, whenever there's frame rate and stuff around like 34, 35, people always say, hey, just cap it at 30. And that is a wise decision to make if you're just trying to have consistency, but it's also a wise decision to make for conserving battery. What's this? Motorcycle gas tank? Yeah, I'm going to need that. Making my way over to Rivet City has actually been pretty interesting. I've been having a lot of fun just playing Fallout just by itself. And I have made a save for myself. It's like down here. I think it's like right here, the Capital Wasteland, the first one. Because I had totally skipped a bunch of stuff. I kind of just made a beeline over here to Rivet City. You can see right here is where I was, and I was just like, yoop. Just because this is where I was asked to go, because this is going to be the most taxing. I still have to head over to here, technically on like the second quest. I accidentally got the sheriff killed in Megaton. Didn't accidentally, I mean, I was just trying to be on his side. Some guy told me to blow up the bomb on there, and I was like, hey, someone told me to do it. Then he done shot him in the back, and then I took his sweet assault rifle. So, silver lining, I guess. But yeah, this is kind of like looking at older games, DirectX 9 games, being able to run a lot of them in ultra settings. Obviously, you might want to tweak them a little bit down, a little bit further if you want to have a constant 60 FPS, or just go ahead and just cap this at 30 with ultra, and then not have to use 27 watts all over the place. You'll be able to use less watts and just have, 30 FPS. 60 is pretty super awesome though, I must admit. But for the most part, this is super playable. I'm actually really enjoying myself. I was playing in bed Fallout 3. I already put in a few hours on my Win Max, so I'm actually having a good time. Unfortunately, I won't be able to play. I have to do some more tests for you guys, but one day I will get back to it. Anywho, as always guys, thank you for your time, and thanks for watching.